Okay. All right. Welcome back to episode 4 of the Move In Ritual podcast. So today's episode, by the way, I'm Mel, and if you hear little meow meows, that's Nero. So today's episode is more of a fun, lighthearted sort of chit chat. We are entering the season of magic with Halloween coming on. So I wanted to talk about manifesting and how yoga and manifesting go hand in hand. So disclaimer here, this isn't going to be too woo-woo, but if you're someone into this idea that you manifest and create your reality, this will resonate. If that's something you're not subscribing to, then this episode is not for you at all. So let's talk about it. I've got my notes as always, about how we manifest, not just from a spiritual lens, but from a neuroscience perspective. And then of course, talking about the metaphysics and yoga. I wish I had a whiteboard. I don't, but I have some paper and I'm going to create some visuals for you. So if you're listening to this podcast, you're still going to get the concept, but if you head onto YouTube, there is a video where I'm actually here with you and guiding you through it with some visuals that might be easy. I think I might use it. I'm a very visual person, so that's how I like to work on things. So I want to talk about the idea of if you've taken a Yoga Nidra practice. Yoga Nidra, we'll talk about it separately because it's an incredible practice and it's known now in the world of science. It is being used to help people with PTSD, with physical traumas, mental traumas, emotional dysregulation, etc. In Yoga Nidra, we set something called a sankalpa, which is an intention at the beginning of practice. And if this hasn't been explained to you, but you've taken a Yoga Nidra class, this is really important. It's like setting a seed deep that is going to manifest. I mean, it's a guarantee with this practice. The reason being is Yoga Nidra brings us into not only a theta state, but even going deeper into the subconscious. So our brain goes from active to obviously lots of stuff happening underneath the surface, right? Like an iceberg. Consciously, we're aware of what 5%, 95% or 90% is subconscious. That means autopilot, that means automatic. This is things you've learned, your brain has stored. This is where I'm talking and I'm not thinking about every single word, it's just happening, right? This is important to understand because that is what traditionally anything where you read manifestation, whether it's metaphysics, neuroscience, quantum physics, they're all going to talk about the state in which change happens, right? And there's different ways to get there. So Sankalpa is just more than a goal. It's a soul level intention. So the next time you go into these practices, think about something that really is meaningful for you. Often a great Yoga Nidra Sankalpa could mean something about releasing, something within, or simply just, and obviously it's always in present tense, so it's an I am. And you're setting that intention like I am powerful, I'm confident, I'm secure, whatever it may be, I'm loved, I'm creative, whatever, I'm an amazing manifester. As you continue to set that deep into the subconscious, your subconscious doesn't know what's current, what's past, what's future. It just knows what is. So if you are in a state of receptiveness, like the practice of Yoga Nidra, it's getting to the deepest layers and starts to plant that seed. That is the one thing in yoga I want to talk about first. Yoga Nidra isn't for manifesting, but it definitely helps and it definitely has the recipe to manifesting. That is why I'm starting there. When we talk about manifesting your goals or creating your own reality, your brain doesn't know, again, what's happening before, what's happening now. What keeps us in a state of not receiving what we want is because our subconscious on some level isn't feeling ready to receive that. It doesn't align with our story. So often you'll use tools like affirmations, which are great, positive conscious work, but the subconscious still has stuff going on. And this isn't, I'm going to try and simplify. I'm just talking from a bunch of avenues and then I'll bring it together. So in the world of, neuroscience, brain science, whatever you want to call it, on the thinking part of us, subconscious is really clear, right? It's the foundation that's holding our life together. So if we start uprooting those, and we do different therapies, different work with therapists, we start to reveal what those are, we can replace them with new intentions, new belief systems. Our subconscious is holding the blueprint of our beliefs, and our beliefs, how we feel, what we feel true for us, what we feel safe to receive, is what we're getting. So your reality is a clear mirror of what you are, not what you want. Okay, so that's just number 2, connecting the two. So when it comes even deeper, this is not that you need to uproot every limiting belief, but that you need to find a new foundation to be the person that has what you want. Okay, let's break it down even more. Hopefully I'm not going too crazy woo-woo here. And a lot of this you might know if you're already into this world like I am. So internally creates externally. As within, so without. Even more deep, going back to yoga philosophy, Hindu philosophy, and Samkhya philosophy, we've got the idea of Purusha and Prakriti, which means basically spirit and matter. Spirit meaning the unseen, matter being the physical realm. Okay? They have a relationship. Everything in this world was started in spirit, in thought, and was created. This shirt, this microphone, me talking to a camera, this was a thought in the unseen and became visible through matter. So going back to your intention, sankalpa, your subconscious, ruling all foundations of who you are, what you believe to be true, is manifesting into matter, 3D physical reality. The other part that yoga teaches us and Ayurveda teaches us even more is those elements, right? We talk about air, space, water, fire, and earth. The densest of all those is earth. That's physical matter. But to get from, earth, there's a transitional period. It starts in space and air. It moves through air comes into a gas, fire shifts it. That's transformation. That is the focus that we use. And then water nurtures the seed and then it blossoms. But think of a seed, for instance, that you plant into the earth. It's not instant. It's taking time to get there. And there's a transitional period it's going through. A seed needs light. It needs fire. It needs something to ignite it. Okay. I hope I'm not losing you. Maybe I'll bring it all to the end. So when we talk about these elements in Ayurveda, when we talk about the seed being planted, that means matter is last. It is the last step in manifestation. So what are we going to do to get there? What can we do from a physical perspective? We are physical beings. How much of our spirit, our air, and our space, our mind, our mental compartments that you don't necessarily see, they're not physical to touch. What do we do with that? Okay. There's a deeper philosophy that I will let you decide if this is true for you. This is true for me. Your desires are given to you. By who? That is the question. Who am I? That's always the question in yoga. Who am I? But who's thinking for me? Who's giving me this? Who's giving me my desires, right? I think that navigates through a lot. A lot of it consciously could be programming. We could be saying, I want this because I think that's how society's going to go. I went that way a long time with thinking of like corporate world. I want to do this. I want to have to, and then I'm like, no, that's not what I want to do at all. That's not my desire. When I broke down my desire of what I really wanted, the foundations of it were stability, structure, these kinds of things that a corporate landing would give you. But you have to kind of break it down. You don't have to for every desire. This is just an example for me. So understanding first that desire, what is it about it? Okay. Number 2 is, I think the question is always, is it good? Is it a good desire? Like, does it bring goodness to life, to you, to other people? I think that's just a moral compass I use. Again, a desire is a desire, it's been given. Some desires are given from a traumatic standpoint, like I said, or conditioned or programmed in a different way. So understanding your desire, let's just keep it clear, taking a look at it. Okay, that's desire is floating in space. It's landed in your spirit. You've got the desire now. Air gives it life. Now you're starting to witness the desire. Okay, now it's like CPR. You're breathing into it. Okay, now I'm like, this is what I want. Okay. Excuse me. When we move into the fire transmission, fire is like, you've heard the term burning desire. It's heart-led. So this is where it's a desire that's no longer just thought about, but it's embodied in who you are. This is where the seed plants. So most people will stop here. They'll think of their desire, they'll think, and stay in the thinking, and they'll start trying to think of how it's going to manifest and all these things. We'll get into that in a second. But the heart is withdrawing inward and focusing, which is a key understanding of manifestation. It's a focal point. It's a, yes, this is what I want. The desire came to you. You can answer, you can contemplate from who, from what, from self. But once it moves into that heart space, once it moves into embodiment, it touches embodiment, you can start to sense or feel it. This is the point. It's already true. It's already happened. Okay, so fire has already touched it. That means it is set in motion. Can you control a fire? It's like a wildfire. Fire takes a lot to burn out. Now, you can also burn this fire out. You can kill this desire by not withdrawing inward. So, when we talk back to yoga philosophy is not just the movement. We'll talk about how that helps, I think. But pratyahara and dharana is concentration and focus. It's withdrawing in. So that means I know that the last step is matter. It is physically manifested. That's the last step. But drawing inward is actually what fuels the desire. So if I keep focusing on outward, my focus now isn't heart-led. It's just refueling what I'm already seeing. But if I want to shift that, I go into heart-led desire. So manifestation is yoga in action, essentially. It really is. It's alignment between thought and body and energy. Now, how does movement on the mat actually help us in manifestation? So physically, moving energy. We are all energy. A thought is energy, a manifestation is energy, emotion is energy, everything's energy in motion. So when we're on the yoga mat and we're taking these poses, yoga as a practice tends to bring us very present. So we become in the know. Especially if you practice yoga regularly, it doesn't take long. As a teacher, it's hard for me to tell you now because it's been so long since I've not practiced yoga. But I do know when I get back on the mat, it always brings me back to this place. But there'll be a point, not only in one class, a physical class, and sometimes your mind can't leave, but you'll train your mind to be so present in a practice that you're not thinking. You're not even sometimes listening to the instructor. Your body just knows how to flow. And that non-thinking part is such a key part to manifesting because it's a clear slate. It is entering below that line of conscious and subconscious. It's basically here. It might even be a little bit below the subconscious. So something that's new, I haven't heard anyone talk about, is I mean, we use mantra in yoga traditionally. There's mantra that we use with sun salutations, and there's different ones. But if you are currently working on sort of shifting the identity within yourself, why not pair your sankalpa, your intention, with movement? Because energy is in movement. Now, this might work against you a little bit if you're focusing too much on the affirmation. You want to be present in your practice. So you could do a couple sun sals with that intention, or you could set the intention like a sankalpa before practice or at the end, just transitioning at a shavasana. But movement and energy is really key because yoga brings you to that present place. Now, obviously I talked about withdrawing inward, pratyahara, dharana. It's like a meditation, but it can also be a practice of journaling. It could also be visualizing, which is essentially like a guided, it's like meditation, but bringing your senses inward, outside of matter, and focusing on that heart desire. The fun part is because creation is already done, the desire is already done. When it's like you got the desire and you said, yeah, please, thank you, I will sign off on this. This is what I want. Then it's a done deal, so you don't have to worry about the how, but you do need to keep stepping into the version or contemplate on the version of you that has it. So if I knew the minute I thought of a desire and I felt it and I knew that that was going to come to fruition because physical matter, the seed's already planted, watering it is just me showing up daily, being the person that has it and not worrying about not having it, then it's going to come, and it's going to come quicker. Because matter is the last step. It is the densest, it is the heaviest. The only thing blocking it from coming in is you trying to figure out how to water the physical world and not the inner world, okay? I hope that's not too much, too crazy. I have a lot of notes. That's why I'm trying to get it all in the most simple way. When it comes to neuroscience, we know that repetition is good for neuroplasticity. So in repeating new thoughts or embodying new behaviors, then rewire. So like I said, revisiting your intention daily is not wrong. People say set it and forget it. That is only because people will focus too much on trying to change and trying to move the outcomes of it when there is something moving it for you. It's already been given. We don't know who, the what gave you the desire, but something else magical is happening to get you the desire. The path of unfolding, the path of least resistance, you've probably heard, is truly just you sticking to that new self, because you are a new person each and every day, by the way. You wake up and you have a choice to completely change your identity. But when you start shifting into a desire, whether it's just a physical item or a shift in your reality completely, you are becoming a new person because you are now the person that has it versus that didn't, okay? So we know from neuroplasticity, it takes repetition. Neurons that fire together, wire together, fire together will wire together. So your brain basically takes neural pathways to create new beliefs. This is not the camera, but we're getting this episode out because it's so fun. Basically, neuroscience teaches us that there's pathways in our brain, right? These neural pathways, they're creating and they're firing and kind of creating these little sparks every time we've got beliefs, thoughts, all these things. We can, because energy doesn't die, we can redirect. So if we have a belief that, let's say, we're not good enough we're not creative enough to be an artist. Let's say that's the one. That's constantly being fired every time we just, but then one day we say, you know what? I just decided I am going to be the best artist and my painting's going to be in this next, I don't know, art festival. And I start building the repetition like a muscle of, no, I am that person. Who is that person? From the person that didn't have it to the person that has it, this is the one and that's where neurons fire off. And then it's not necessarily that we kill these beliefs, but we lose the energy to that and it starts to redirect into the new pathway. The new pathway becomes the new personality, personal reality. Dr. Joe Dispenza, as you know, or you may not know, but if you don't know who he is, you should definitely check out his book, Break the Habit of Being Yourself, as a starter. It's great. And you keep redirecting it. You keep saying no. You keep going into the idea of the person that is the embodiment, the fire self that keeps nourishing. That's the watering. Sorry, it's not the fire self. It's past that. It's the watering phase where you're actually becoming that person. Repetition is key. So embodying new behaviors, I'm going to keep painting. I'm going to keep practicing every day. I'm going to keep putting into my vision and keep reminding myself I'm worthy of this. I'm good enough for this. My art's going to change someone, some way, somehow. So embodying new pathways by repetition. I will say that it's not easy breaking old habits, breaking old patterns, because it's like Neville Goddard manifestation code. What is he? I don't know. I don't know what to call him, but a philosopher of manifesting. Neville, and you've got Florence Scovel Shinn, and you've got Joseph Murphy, like the OGs. They have all, and neuroscience will also tell us, so you can even look it up, that there's kind of a dying period. And if you're more tuning into this for the first time, it might even feel like what some spiritual / psychological psychologists in the world of psychology and social psychopsychology, let's call it, will say that the dark night of the soul. It's like you're losing your old self to become your new, and it can be very unpretty, it can be very uncomfortable, because remember, the brain loves repetition, it loves safety, it loves what it knows, so keep going at it. Find support, take breaks, but don't give up. If it is a burning heart desire, it is meant for you. All right, the RAS, so the reticular activating system. We know it from psychology and neuroscience, but this means your brain filters out reality based on your dominant beliefs, your thoughts. So if you keep thinking, I'm never good enough, you're going to find so many ways why that, I'm not a great artist. You're going to get feedback on that. You're going to get people telling you, no, thank you. Maybe stick to your day job and that kind of thing. But as you continue to build the new self, remember, matters last. Your new self will be reflected, and then that desire gets reflected back. So I want you to just remember that the more what you naturally focus on, this is just a little side note, side practice. What you focus on, what you're aware of is your RAS, and you can shift that based on your nervous system. So if you're seeing a lot of negativity, that means that there is some stuff that you are constantly focusing on. Or you've done the work and I don't like subscribing to this, but there tends to be a little purge phase that people do see in the manifesting world. I don't really think that's accurate. I think what's happening is new self is living now as new self, but 3D is old, so it looks like nothing's changed, but it's because 3D is the last matter state of the heaviness of movement. So I think it's just a matter of that, but some people call this the purge because it can look like, what is going on? I'm changed, but nothing's happening. Keep going. Neuroscience tells us that emotions really do make the brain body believe it's already happening. We know this because of a lot of scientific tests. My cat. We know that different parts of the body will light up. We know that emotions will help with immunity. We know that things like gratitude, joy, and just feeling abundant in love definitely has a way different effect on the body, the nervous system, and the mind, the brain, than obviously negative thoughts. So I don't think I need to tell you that that's science, but if I go into yoga and Ayurveda, Ayurveda talks about something called ojas, which is this energy of vitality and immunity. And the reason I bring it into manifestation is because it talks about vitality and immunity, and we know that in the essence of ojas, when you have high ojas, you tend to be, you kind of have that loving glow. You're more giving, you're more receptive, and in that, you're the healthiest you've been. So your vitality is strong, and it's your ability to love and receive love and bring joy. And so I'm going to partner that essence with the Ayurveda is elevated emotion also equals beautiful immunity. Again, you obviously get sick as a human being, but positive thoughts, positive being is about being healthier and good stuff happening. So when you pair a clear intention with an elevated emotion, again, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden talks about the heart-brain coherence, Dr. Bruce Lipton, who he has a book on the honeymoon effect for partners. The brain codes it as real. Your body doesn't know the difference. You bypass the years of whatever your subconscious was ringing on, and you say, actually, this is the new data. And while you're feeling that, the conscious mind can't get in the way. So this is why tools like yoga, like I'm bringing the two, marrying them together right now. Not saying that you have to, I'm just saying this is a fun way to look at things as a yoga teacher. You're actually teaching your body that it's happening now. When the body believes it's happening now, and the subconscious believes that, even more importantly, then the watering phase becomes less, and then the physical earth manifestation happens, okay? Let's get into law of attraction, metaphysics and energy in general. So everything is vibrational. We know that quantum physics says that reality is energy vibrating at different frequencies. We know this by the bystander effect. I'm not going to go into that and make this super long, but if you're still here, you probably have an awareness that quantum physics has a direct relationship with manifesting. So talked about heart and mind coherence. This is really key. Greg Braden and the brain heart constitution, I don't know what they're called, but they talk about this, and they've done many studies, again, of joy, love, gratitude. If you can breathe things and feel it into the heart space, and you can connect your intention to that, it's more powerful. It's almost like bringing yourself into those theta and alpha, like those brave brain waves that are slower and easier or more receptive, just like a yoga nidra. But you can do an intentional practice, a meditation, guide it through breath. And there's also some really fabulous work on this, that when you use heart intention, the magnetic frequency of the heart, magnitude frequency, I forget the right word. I'm like all over the place because this is exciting. It expends out, I think, 12 times more than a thought. So the energy of the heart, feeling elevated emotion, is definitely what you want to do over just thinking. Pairing the two is like a match made in heaven. And if you're asking, well, how can I feel it if I've never had it? Trust me, I do this every day. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I have big visions. Like, I want to be Tony Robbins, Oprah of yoga. So please help me manifest that. But basically, your practice of coming inward and drawing that presence. So yoga can help you with that. Meditation or guided focus, like some of the other practices I talked about. Journaling and scripting, if you're good at visualizing, or just grounding the breath and finding presence every day. So coherence happens when there's presence. Heart, mind get married together when we're able to just be here now. Another great book, Be Here Now. So it's not about chasing, it's about tuning. That's manifestation. Coherence is brain, heart, connecting those channels. So let me recap. Wait, do I have anything else to say? Okay, practical. Yeah, I already talked about practical ways to create your reality. Get on the mat, use movement to anchor your state, find presence. In breathwork, pay attention, maybe to the heart space a little bit more to charge it. Daily rituals, journaling or visualizing in present tense. Yoga Nidra is just a really fabulous practice in general. If you could do that once or twice a week, you don't even have to set your intention that's related to your desire. It could be something, just the person you want to be. Something like, most of the time I just say like, I am joyful, or I'm grateful, or I'm loving. Because if I implant that into my subconscious, then my reality is just going to give me a bunch of stuff that gives me joy and gratitude. Okay? Find playful ways. Just move the body, playful things, dance, mantra, singing, whatever is fun and creative, because you are a creator. There's the concept of you are the creator of your reality, but here's where I'm like a little bit different. The desire came to me, right? I don't know from who. That's the big question. Am I creating it, or am I just accepting it? That's the big one. So wisdom bite is joy is fast to your path of manifestation. The more you can live in the now with presence, joy brings us that, then you're watering really quickly. The other concept I didn't talk about is time is an illusion. I've said this before, I think in my first podcast, and it really is. So when you're more present, time doesn't fly like it. I mean, they say time flies when you're having fun, but what I mean more so is that there's no urgency of time when you're present. So you're not really you're not like, oh, it took me a year to get that, director job that I desired. You're not really there because you're living in the moment. It might not take a year, and again, time is an illusion. So everything exists at once. What brings it into manifestation, and the reason it's slower, is because it's the fuel you put behind it. They say thoughts create reality. They do to an extent, but thank God not all your thoughts create reality, because we have some pretty awful thoughts of ourselves and of reality. So that's why you have to understand that there's this middle phase, that fire and water phase of transmuting between the two. It also is noted that in Ayurveda, space and air is the head, and the heart space is also air, but there's also the idea of buddhi, this intentional, the fire of the heart as well. So, and a lot of philosophies will talk about the heart, the seat of the soul, burning heart desire. This is why emotional stuff, feel good and bad, we use the heart as the gauge for that. There's also really cool studies about mothers being able to do phenomenal things. The baby's trapped under a car and the mom can lift the car. That is not thinking, that is a heart's desire. And I'm pretty sure, don't quote me, but I think there's things like this study, and maybe not to that extent, where they measure the heart's energy in situations where miracles start to happen, and it's undeniable that this is coming not just from a thought, and it's not coming from physical strength. So pretty amazing stuff. Okay. So I said I was going to recap. I don't know how I'm going to recap this properly. So you've got your intention. Okay, your intention, your desire, let's call it. It comes to you, and let's think it's in space. It's in the ether. It's not a real thing yet. I don't know if this is going to show. So intention, desire is in the space. And then you start to give some life into it, right? You consider it, you contemplate it. That's air. So you're giving breath to it. You're giving life to it. And then you need it to sort of transform. You need the energy to be not just a thought, but you need it to come into something a little bit more. So that's fire, right? Fire transmutes. It ignites. It is the burning desire. It's the push. It's the igniter, right? Let's just call it that. Let's stop trying to be philosophical. I can't talk. After fire, you've got water. You got to nurture. You nurture that through becoming the person, through the state. You've got to work with subconscious. Now, this can be overwhelming too. I've given you a lot of ways to enter the subconscious, so just comment below if it's very confusing. Drop all your comments, because this is beautiful stuff to me, you know? And it manifests in your reality. Okay? And that's earth. Matter. Matter is the densest of all energies. It is the slowest energy. The fastest is between air and fire, essentially. Okay, this does not look pretty and probably doesn't even read. I'm so sorry. I'll try and note it below. So let's take you through a little practice to close. Start to close your eyes. Take a seat if you're standing, or you can just anchor into your feet here. Let all the air out of your system. Begin inhaling through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Feel your body. Feel the energy around your body pulsing. And just gently visualize if you can feel into a space future you is. So a space where your desires already happened. A place you'd be. Just feel your body there. Even if you're not a good visualizer, just feel the body in the new space. Let's set an sankalpa. I am. You're now in the space that you have it. What is it? I am or I have. Usually I am. Your I amness is where you want to go. I am so grateful now that. Stay in the space. Let's elevate the emotion. Start to tune into the heart, or bring a little smile to your face, or gently sway in the space. Connect with your body here and now. Feel the energy from the center of the spot. And just know, now we send gratitude, prayer. So grateful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. And take another breath. When you're ready, draw yourself back here and now. Flutter the eyes open if they're closed. Such a simple practice. Such a simple practice. Try that for 7 days, or instead maybe you bring in another thing we've talked about. But find joy, find presence for 7 days. 7 days, that's all I'm asking of you. Bring your intention and awareness after you find that presence. Bring a little bit of that heart space energy, that elevated emotion, and see what happens. And by the way, the physical is not what you are measuring. You're measuring the self. Have you shifted in the 7 days? That's it for me. Thank you so much. In the season of magic, I hope this wasn't too woo-woo. I hope this was fun. We could do another one of these. Drop your questions below. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree? Don't agree? Maybe I went too far out, but this was fun. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the podcast, you can check us out on YouTube if you're listening to this on any other channel. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks again.